Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Livingston of Want Leverage Communications, and I'm here for another installment of PR Patter, my weekly broadcast here on LinkedIn, where I chat with amazing, talented members of my marketing and public relations network. I am thrilled today to welcome my guest, Pam Aungst Cronin. She's named one of the top 10 women in SEO, search engine optimization. She's president of Pam and Marketing. I just love that name of your company. It's so clever. And founder of Stealth Search and Analytics. Pam is an award-winning, nationally recognized expert in SEO, pay-per-click advertising, Google Analytics, and WordPress. She's a self-proclaimed geek who started, get this, computer programming at age 6. That's kind of amazing. That's a new fact I didn't know about you, Pam. And started creating websites back in 1997, which seems so long ago today. She's been working professionally in the field of e-commerce since 2005. Referred by Sprout Social as a Twitter success story, Pam harnessed the power of social media to launch her own business in 2011. She's been featured in 3 books, numerous podcasts and webinars where she shares her SEO expertise, and all the major search engine optimization publications, as well as national media outlets, including CBS Small Business Pulse and Internet Retailer Magazine. Pam's been honored with many industry awards and was named one of New Jersey's best Marcom professionals under 40 and SERPstats top 10 women in SEO. She holds an MBA in marketing from Regis University and now combines her learnings from her master's with 2 decades of experience in SEO to help established companies and brands become household names. So welcome, Pam, to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, I have to say that from my own experience, and we've worked together a bit, SEO, search engine optimization, is a little daunting. It seems so technical for the layman like me. It's sort of like, I want this, I want it so badly, but how do I get it? And I found until I met you that a lot of other experts in the field really, can use their own industry jargon and language to kind of explain what SEO can do for a company, but that even causes more confusion. So now, like today's topic is about the do's and don'ts of artificial intelligence in SEO. So, oh my God, these are 2 big topics, right? That can just feel like so overwhelming. How do you bring these subjects down, these complicated subjects down to a level where clients can really understand and work with you and get the benefit of mastering both areas?
Yeah, loaded question indeed, because as you said, it is complicated, complex, technical, and by it, I mean SEO. Then layer on top of that AI, which is also complex and highly technical. But the, I guess, kind of irony in it is that I think that AI, as complicated and technical as it is in its inner workings, I think for end users, AI is actually going to make SEO way easier to understand.
How is that?
Well, so if anyone who's watching has tried ChatGPT already, I think they'll know what I mean by a prompt. But if you haven't, a prompt is basically, a question that you ask or a command that you give to a chatbot like ChatGPT, and it will use all the knowledge it's learned from everything it's been trained on, which is massive amounts of information, to give you an answer. And it's an educated answer. Now, it does need to be taken with a grain of salt, being that, its education is not perfect. But in most cases, at least with most general SEO questions, it's good enough for it to give you some guidance. So whereas, normally we'll have clients email us a quick question like, I'm writing this blog post about this topic and I'm wondering if I should talk about it like with these words or those words. And,
right.
That instead of emailing me, you can go to ChatGPT and ask No, no. Am I talking myself out of a job here? Maybe.
You don't want to do that, but you want to be
Not so much,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of do's and don'ts and best practices and not good practices for using AI and SEO. So if anything, I'll just become like a blended AI slash SEO consultant.
That's a great answer. So we know that successful SEO involves a lot of content writing and repetition. How do you do that well? And getting back to the AI question, is it okay to write content for a website using AI?
Oh boy, that is the number one.
I get asked a lot too as a publicist.
Yes.
Can I write a press release? Can I write press materials, presentations using AI? So I'll let you answer first.
Yeah, so I'm interested to hear your answer too. But that is definitely the number one FAQ I'm getting about AI in SEO is, can I write content for my website with AI? It's the people are desperate for a shortcut because content writing is such a big part of SEO, and it's a lot of heavy lifting to write really good, high quality, in-depth articles on your site all the time, and just do that so frequently and not be repetitive in what you're writing about. It's very, very difficult. And so people are desperate for a shortcut. And although, yeah, you can go to ChatGPT or like a Jasper, or there's all these sorts of tools. You can go to an AI tool and tell it to write you a 5,000 word blog post, and it will just spit it out in like 20 seconds. What it spits out, though, will be quite generic and quite similar.
It's not going to have your personality imbued in it. It's not going to have your brand values in it either.
Right. And that personal firsthand experience being, talked about in your content is actually kind of sort of becoming a ranking factor. The Google quality rater guidelines, which is basically, what they tell their human testers to do to make sure their algorithm is doing what they want it to do, is they added a new requirement to a new strong recommendation to that, to talk about your firsthand experience in the content. So they had this acronym, algorithm acronym abbreviation called EAT. They've had this for many years, where they tell you, they being Google, tell you being website owners, that we want you to, and we will favor your content if you demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness in your content, EAT. This past year, I believe, because of the flood of generic content that's being put out on the internet by AI, Google is now saying that there's another E. So it's EEAT, and the new E is experience. So all coming back around to your point from a brand messaging perspective, but also
that is about the person behind the content.
Yes, and the person can be a brand, as in a company.
I mean, right.
You can say, in personal branding, you could say in my experience, or if it's a brand blog or whatever, you say in our experience working with our clients, we have found blah, 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 blah. That's how you would do it from that, in that scenario.
That's great. So what are other ways that AI can be used to enhance your SEO strategy, Pam?
So yeah, so I said, there's good and bad ways to use it. I would say a bad way is to have it spit out whole blog articles for you that are generic and bland and super similar to what everyone else is using AI to spit out. What is a good practice is to use AI for content ideation. It's getting ideas, what to write about. Like I said before, it's so hard not to be repetitive in writing content for your website, and you have to write a lot of it if you're focusing on an SEO strategy. So how do you not be repetitive and get new ideas for new unique angles on your topic that you haven't covered yet? It's beautiful for that. That's my absolute favorite thing to do with AI.
I mean, I'm using it similarly because I often get writer's block. I'm writing all day long for clients. Whether I'm ghostwriting their LinkedIn content or developing media pitches or whatever I'm doing for them, helping them with their communication strategy. And sometimes I just hit a wall. And so ChatGPT has been phenomenal at just doing some initial research, and then it's like, bingo, I read that and like, bingo, the ideas start flowing more.
Mhm.
And okay, now I could take some of this that it came up with and then reshape it and make it my own. So it
Yes.
sounds like me or it sounds like my client.
Yes, exactly. That's the perfect way to use it. So your content is still custom, but it gets you past that wall of writer's block. We have one client we've been writing blogs for I think it's going on 10 years now, and they only do like 2 types of services. And obviously we rewrite old posts to refresh them and whatnot, but man, the writer's block is strong on that one.
Oh my gosh.
But inevitably you go, ChatGPT, here's a list of all the topics we've written about already in the past 10 years. Give us some we haven't. And there it goes. So it's kind of funny, I was saying prompt before, as in like the prompt is the instructions you give the AI as to what you want it to do for you. In a way, I like to think of that in reverse too. It's like you still need to do custom content, but you can have it prompt you with ideas and give you an outline, and then put you on a path to running with it.
So let's say you do this and you use Chat GPT to come up with it generates some content. You think you've reshaped it to have more of your voice. How do you tell if you have achieved that?
Great question.
Because we all get tunnel vision. We're looking at our content all day long. It's kind of hard to tell because you don't have necessarily fresh eyes on it. If it really does sound like you, if it really does come across as original.
Yeah, great question. So first of all, just to reiterate again, if you're not telling ChatGPT to write, or whatever tool to write you a full blog article, then you certainly don't have to worry about the uniqueness angle of it. If you just have it give you ideas and maybe an outline for subheads of a specific idea, and you're still writing everything yourself, custom, chances are it's not going to look super similar to something else that AI spit out for someone. And then just remember the E of the year, experience. Just ask yourself, did I talk enough about my personal experience in this? Now, if you do get tempted to use couple little snippets of something that AI gave you and use it, actually copy it into the body of your article, there are AI detector tools that you can use and to run your copy through there and make sure it doesn't pick up on too much AI generated content in there, because that is something
that's a no.
Yeah.
But is that I guess that's easily detectable, or somewhat easily detectable by Google too, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's practically the easiest thing in the world for an AI to detect that AI content was written by AI. It's like it understands how to write content, so it understands how other chatbots write content, and Google uses AI in their algorithms. So and people say, oh, well, I generated an article with ChatGPT and I ran it through a plagiarism detector and it wasn't detected as plagiarism. No, it's not going to be detected as plagiarism. It's going to be detected as AI generated content, two totally different things.
Right. Chris Vaglio is just saying in the comments, he uses ChatGPT every day to help with his marketing and SOPs.
SOPs, that's another good one I have used it for.
Tell us about that. Yeah.
Definitely. Internal task templates are just like what we run off of as an SEO agency. Every new client that we bring on gets a project in our project management software and about a bazillion task templates with our standard SOPs, operating procedures of how we first do this, then do that, make sure this is taken care of, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes I get writer's block on writing those because SEO is evolving all the time. And I'm like, how am I going to, for example, the firsthand experience, how do I work a double check into our processes, existing processes for this new requirement that people mention firsthand experience in their content? And I can just give ChatGPT our existing, task list for checking content and say, where do you think is the best part in this process to insert this new step? Boom.
Okay.
There you go.
Good. That's great. So Pam, I know, take out your crystal ball
Got it.
What do you think the future of AI and SEO might look like?
Whew. Well, that can go in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but where I hope it's going, and with a couple of new tools that are coming out where I think it's starting to go, is to help kind of reverse engineer the search engine algorithms. The search engine algorithms are largely AI based and insanely complex. Like, even if Google were to publish their full secret sauce of their algorithms and not lock down any of it with copyright, whatever, one human brain couldn't comprehend all of that. It's just too much. Sure. But an AI could, because it's basically like I was saying before, an AI can detect that content was written by AI because it's an AI. So I kind of thinking that on a much, much broader scale, like finally, like we don't have to try to explain to people every little inner working of what we know about how the algorithms work. We could just hopefully someday throw a website into and manual auditing and all that, throw a website into a tool and have it basically compare it to the sites in every aspect, all the hundreds of factors. Each individual web page of your site gets analyzed based on hundreds of factors. So the bazillion factors altogether, just boom, analyze this site, tell us what in this particular site scenario, in this particular keyword, what we have to do differently, and just basically reverse engineer Google. That's where I hope it's going.
So tell me, what are some of the things that clients misunderstand about AI and search engine optimization that you find?
Probably the number one thing kind of goes back to the number one FAQ that we mentioned before is, they think that they finally found that, that golden shortcut of I can just spit out blog article after blog article after blog article and check off all my SEO content writing boxes with that. And I'm just constantly explaining, like, no, you can use it to help with the writer's block, the ideation, blah, blah, blah. But that's definitely the number one thing that it's really like actually kind of the only thing that people have asked me about, that clients have asked about with regard to AI and SEO. They haven't really been exposed to any other ideas of how to use it other than to generate content. So we've introduced some other ideas to them for things like meta tag generation. In the past, we would do a bunch of keyword research for a client, and we'd say, okay, client or copywriter, now write meta tags, titles and meta descriptions, the short description, that little excerpt that comes up on the search engine results under the link. You have to write those manually, or in the past, you had to write those manually. That's one piece where AI won't really hurt to help you generate all of that. And so instead of like, here's a spreadsheet with 100 blank cells, and we want you to manually write a summary of each page into those cells, we actually will suggest the use of AI for something like that. That's
so cool. And if as we close out today's session, and it went by so quickly, can you share a couple of top tips for companies that really want to, increase their and how they might start incorporating AI into it?
So I'm sorry, my audio broke up a little bit, but can you repeat the beginning part of the question?
Yeah, sure. Can you share just a couple of top tips that you would give about how to boost your SEO and start incorporating AI?
Okay, gotcha. So it's really just a summary of a lot of the talking points we've been over already. Do's and don'ts. Don't use it for writing full pieces of content. Do use it for content ideation, content planning, getting past that writer's block, writing content briefs or content outlines for a copywriter and letting them run with it then. But, definitely stay manual on that. And then the biggest beauty of it that I think is undiscovered for a lot of people is the internal, like Chris mentioned, SOPs. The internal processes, whether it's SEO or anything else, AI is just a gold mine for finding areas for efficiencies in your business. The tools that are coming out, there's hundreds, seems hundreds by the day, new tools of now you can connect this to that and this to that and this to that. And the AI does it all. So all your 10 different softwares that you use every day for whether it's your SEO planning or your internal business operations of any kind, are all going to be able to be connected much more easily than ever before. And even just, kind of think of like ChatGPT as like your internal business coach or whatever. And like, you can really start to, once you learn how to ask questions the right way, then you'll get amazing answers. So to summarize that last point, I guess I'd say, try to always remind yourself that this is a tool that's available to you for every bit of your business operations, SEO and otherwise.
Chris Vaglio is also adding, this is great, also webinars and presentations.
Yeah, outlines for anything, concepts, video scripts, that is something that, again, you shouldn't maybe copy word for word, but you can tell it to spit out a video script and then kind of riff off, with your own firsthand experience. Remember that E. But yeah, the possibilities are endless. I am personally trying to remind myself every day that I need to start relying even more on this as a tool to just help us be more efficient, faster, better, more accurate for our clients.
That's great. And I think the best way to sort of, some people have a little bit of fear about it. It's sort of an unknown territory. Dip your toe in, just experiment a little bit, and you'll find that it's just fantastic. It really, used the right way, it can really help you with, as you said, with taking some time back into your day.
Absolutely. That's where I see the biggest benefit in SEO or otherwise.
Pam, how could people get in touch with you?
PamandMarketing.com is probably the easiest way. I'm on all the socials, but you can find the links for those on there. So PamandMarketing.com, which is PAMANN marketing.com.
Excellent.
Not Pan Am like the airline, although it is a play on that.
Thank you so much. Great to see you. And I hope you'll come back sometime to continue this conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.